Who is Jesus? Let's talk about that as we recap yesterday's sermon. This is the question that Jesus has for you and for me. This is the all-defining question. Jim preached about Luke 9, verse 18, where Jesus opens a conversation with his disciples and he says, "Who do the crowd say that I am?" And then the disciples say, John the Baptist. Others say, Elijah. And others again say, you're just one of the prophets of old who has risen again. And then he says, but who do you say that I am? And then nobody speaks but Peter. That's why I love Peter so much. And Peter says, you are the Christ of God. You are the one who is sent to save the world. And then Jesus, because he's not a guru, because he's not just somebody who wanted to promote his work, follow for more. That's not what Jesus was. Jesus says, don't tell anybody. And then he says this radical thing. I need to read it out to you. And he said, well, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Why? Well, the verse before says, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and on the third day be raised. Following Jesus is something completely different than following a moral teacher or following a great prophet. I had this discussion with my barber last week as he was cutting the remaining hair that I still have. He asked me, because he is genuinely interested. He said, well, I know you're a priest or something like that. Why does God have different names? And how can you say he has a son? And he was a Muslim. He was not out there to, confront or discuss or debate. He genuinely was interested in what I believe. So I started to explain the Trinity the best way I could, same substance, 3 different persons. Like we are of the same substance, we humans, but we're different persons. But now, if you put a perfect unity between a God who is the same substance, God, and 3 different persons together, that is the Trinity. I started to understand it, but it was still so abstract. So I broke it down to the most important question, which is, who do you say Jesus is? Because that's the door, that's the way into meeting God. And he said, well, my religion says he's a prophet. My people tell me he's a prophet. He's a good teacher. And so I left him with this question. Well, the question is not what other people say. The question is not what your church says. It's what you say that he is. That will define how you act. Don't tell me what you believe. Show me by your actions. And that's basically what Jesus just said, right? Those who follow him will live a cruciform life. They will take up the cross daily and they will do the same thing that Jesus did. They will die to self and be resurrected through the resurrection of Jesus. And that is the application for us, honestly. Jim told this story in his firm, how he had to show character and actually die to himself a little bit, I would say. It cost him a huge thing. And that's how you know that he is a follower of Jesus. Where today do you need to follow Jesus in the sense that he truly is the Christ of God? Meaning, where do you need to die to self? What is it that has to be placed on the altar today? And then trust God that he will rise you out of the ashes into a glorious new self that follows Jesus and lives a victorious life. Well, that is what it means to become a follower of Jesus. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week.